Alright, dust them off. Never done park brake, handbrake shoes on one of these rear ends before, so you can come along and learn with me. I believe there's a lot of hoping in this project. Then I thought, oh, it actually makes sense. Now's the time. If you're going to own an EV, own it now. Really. Bloody crikey. Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on YouTube. Dave here in the old garage with the Area 51 project and the old bomb truck, but I'm not doing anything on the bomb truck today. We're going to do some stuff back here again. Even got some new nuts and bolts and stuff for the old 4-link. They're all going to be the right size and whatnot. They're all stashed there. Got the handbrake shoes and some stuff like that. I was going to do some more on the brake stuff, but I haven't got all my parts yet, so we'll just get at what we've got and then I might go do some gardening. Let's get at it. Alrighty, so I'm still waiting on new brake lines, hoses, soft hoses for there, and I just realised this morning that I need to get a whole bunch of different flare nuts and whatnot. I've got some, but not all of the ones I need, so I have to get those during the week before I can do the rear brakes and start running the brake hoses up the front. I can do most of that, some of it. I can do a lot of it, yeah, until the master cylinder and that goes back on, and then I can figure out where it has to go up to there. But I can, well, don't worry about that. So I'm gonna do these brake shoes, change all these nuts and bolts, yeah, maybe put the handbrake lines and stuff on. We'll start off with, get this thing up off the ground so we can get the wheels up off it and yeah, get to these handbrake shoes. Alright, so just got to get these calipers off so I can take the rotor hats off. They're going the right way. After putting them all on very diligently last week, I'm going to take them off again. But I needed to put them on to make sure everything's going to fit, so not time wasted, time served. Just like that. Alrighty, since I've taken these back off again, I thought I'd give them the black centre treatment like I did on the front hubs, front rotors. I'm just giving them a bit of a whiz over with some grey Scotch-Brite. I have no idea what kind of equivalency grade that is. And I just repurposed my template from doing the front. The noisy old plane. I think it's an old biplane. But anyway, so let's give these a bit of a scuff up just so paint might have a better chance of sticking. It probably won't last for that long, but you know, it'll kind of be better than it kind of turning completely rusty and looking shit. Alright, dust them off. I'll just leave those to kind of cure up in the bake oven there while I sort of figure out how to do that. Never done park brake, handbrake shoes on one of these rear ends before, so you can come along and learn with me. Seems pretty straightforward. Seems a lot like other types of brake shoes, but I'm going to try and do it without taking the axles out again. Should be alright. Hey, really? Hopefully. Well, let's get at it. Okay, so we've got the usual assortment of springs and clips and those little other springs. I don't know what that one is down there, so I might just start with trying to get these springs off and then do the clips and then see where that takes us. Try to get this one out. Come on, you can do it. Oh. Try this side. Oh, got one off. Okay, so got it apart. Now the fun part, can I get it back together? That's the handbrake leverage. And that's going to stay in there because it can't come out with the axle. It can come out. I'll give all this a bit of a wire wheel up, make it all nice and clean before I put all the new stuff back in. And yeah, that's for the handbrake leverage. So I'm going to do one side at a time so I can figure out how to put it back together on the other side. And these will be left to right, obviously. I'm going to make sure the shoes are right. And yeah, I'm just going to give these a wire wheel. Alright, get this child-proof packaging out of the way. Probably should have used a knife. Screwdriver will do. Peek out traffic. Alright. Get all those out of the way. Now I've got to make sure that these are the same as what I've just taken out, and then figure out if there's a left and a right and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, looks like one of them. That looks like one of them. What's up with the shoes? Doesn't appear to be a leading shoe or a second shoe. What does it say on there? Brake bonders, something or other. 3502, 669, 669. They all got the same part number and stuff on there, so I'm gonna sort of just gonna say that they're all good. Yep. Okay, so we should be good. Should be good. Put them over there. Yeah. See if we can figure out how to put it back together. Alrighty, so I got a little bit of this copper grease. I used to have an aerosol version of this, which was real good, but I don't know what happened to it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of copper grease in that, in some of these sort of moving parts, help hold it together. Obviously being careful not to get it on the friction pad part. And just gives it a little bit of lubrication on these moving parts, you know what I'm saying? Take it off the whoop. I wonder if I should put a little bit in the inside there. That'll do us, a little bit in there, and this bit's got to go however it goes in here. I have to do this in 2 stages though, I think. I have to get... How did that come out again? I can't remember. Goes through there, like so. No, got it back to front, I think. That's got to go. How does this work? That way. It's got to go that way. Like that. And then this bit, I think, goes that way, like that. I think. Well, I better go and check the other side, make sure it doesn't go out the other way. Hang on a sec. Right, so we'll proceed. What next? Let's have a look. I think that's got to go on there. It'll go like that, yeah? Yeah, and then I wonder if I should put these things back on first, and that'll hold my I'll do that on there. What's it called? The shoe. Ah. This might take a while, but not having the correct one of those flickety flick spring. There we go, I just did it. Choice. Now, put that back over there where it belongs. I'll do the other side. Okay, so I got them back off again. So I was going to put a little bit of this anti-seize on these areas here, just to because I've seen like some other people do it, just so the shoes can move freely on this backing plate. Just a small amount though. I might take some of that back off. It's copper grease, I should say. It is an anti-seize as well, but it's just a copper grease. We'll call it for future reference. Alright, now I'll put them back on. I actually had both of them on. Now I've taken them back off again, so back in a sec. Right, so just put a little bit of, I don't really get much on that outer thing, mind you, it's pretty reasonably tight tolerance, so that's just kind of to give it a little bit of anti-seize lubrication, I guess you could call it. And it helps hold them together as well, so it doesn't just fall off all the time. Right, put this other shoe on and then carry on. Alright, so I just gotta somehow get these little springs back on. This would have been actually a lot easier to do on the bench without the axles and stuff in the way, but I don't really want to take the axles out again because I'm too lazy to do that. Come on, get in there. Okay, one end in. Come on, get in there, barmaid. Screwdriver. Come on. Nearly there. Change perspective. Gotcha. Okay, so that's the bottom spring on. Managed to get clipped in both of those sides in the hole. I think it's in the right hole. I don't see any other place it can go, so it's all good. I'll do the little whirly wheel. Better go and check to see which side it is the front. So the front little wheel goes to the front on this, according to the other side anyway. It's assuming that no one else has cocked it up before me. Push that into place and do this spring. I wonder if you do the whirly wheel thing first and then do the spring, whether that makes any difference. Ooh, nearly there. Come on, get in there, you barmaid. You drive it. Yes, got it. Okay. So that's those on. Whether I get the shoes on at the same time, I'll probably clean off any little greasy handprints and stuff that I put on there before I try and put the old drum brake back on. And then I'll have to adjust all this to make sure she's all good. Works as it should, it's good. Alright, other side. Alrighty, so got both sides to this stage here. Other side, the only thing I did different was I put that top spring on before I put the little whirly jig in. So it just kind of held things together, and then I just kind of like put that into place, leave it around, and then just pop that back in there. So pretty straightforward. So I just got to adjust up. I've already given these a bit of a clean, but I just got to adjust up the old shoes there, so they're not dragging, or so they're not just spinning too freely, if that makes sense. At the moment it slides on and off too easy because they're adjusted about as, well, unadjusted as about as humanly possible. And which way does this go? That way. So I'll just twiddle this whirly jig, bring it out of ways, give that a try. Getting a little bit, that might have been a little bit too much, I think. So I'll take it back a wee bit. spins, but so that'll do us. Now I just got to put the calipers back on, hopefully for the final time. Probably should have painted the end of the axles, but yeah, maybe could still before I put the calipers on. Yeah, might do that. Okay, so calipers are back on, and hopefully for the last time painted the, well, missed a bit. This is the first bit I've kind of show on the camera is the bit that I actually missed with the old rattle can on the axle, but I'm not going to take the caliper off and redo that. Yeah, so hopefully that's them on for pretty much the last time. Maybe you have to do some bit more handbrake adjustment on that once the whole thing's kind of set up and kind of installed. But next up I'm going to actually put these cables back in, give them a clean up in that first, obviously, just kind of make them look a little bit less second hand, and yeah, get my clips that I painted earlier this morning, something I prepared a little bit earlier, that kind of bolt, they kind of plug into these things here, and they were bleeding, kind of mounted up under the chassis, and I'll hook these up onto the little lever and put these new springs on. Hopefully they fit. I couldn't find an exact replacement for the spring that kind of helps pull the cable back, but I found something close, so hopefully it's going to work. If not, I might be able to modify it. So I'll start with cleaning these up, and then we'll take it from there. Right, I'm just going to use some Armor All glass cleaner to clean these up. Hopefully it works. I see people using Windex and stuff all the time on the YouTubes and on the stuff to clean these sorts of things, but I haven't got any Windex, so Armor All glass cleaner it is. Oops, see, seems to be taking stuff off. And then I'm gonna just go over them with some of this Protect All stuff. It's actually an interior thing. It's a bit like Armor All interior stuff, but I haven't got any of that either. So I'm just using what I've got, and yeah, hopefully we're all good. I wonder if I should put a little bit of something down this cable. What have I got for that? Pretty sure I might actually have a cable cleaning stuff, cable lubricating stuff somewhere. Alrighty, so these are these little clips that I made ages ago when I was setting up this handbrake traffic, and I dragged them out this morning and gave them a little bit of a wire wheel and a little bit of that satin black, is it called? Rust-Oleum on there, and not sponsored in any way, but if you see this Rust-Oleum and you want to hook a brother up. But anyway, so I'm gonna fit these up, and yeah, then that'll be the kind of handbrake, and all the cables for the front part of, or the back part of the cables all kind of installed, hopefully finally. Famous last words. And a couple of these, I need to get the spring washers that are buried in here. I went and bought a whole bunch of nuts and bolts and washers and stuff the other day, so now I have spring washers for all of these 6mm button heads that I've used on everything stupidly. So because I want to put spring washers on there just so it doesn't rattle itself to bits, hopefully. There's a lot of hoping in this project. But anyway, so I'll go and figure out how to stick one of these cable doodads on. Right, gotta just hook this cable onto there somehow. Yeah, come on. Where is it? I'm trying to do this blind because is it on? Yeah, like that, and then this outer cable slides into this outer cable holder thing, and I need to get a spring from there to there, right where
See my grubby fingernails go from there to there. But I'm missing one of the factory springs, which was that one. So I went and bought these ones with the same length, but these are just too wimpy. But I had these from somewhere and they're a bit gruntier. I've already been jamming around on that at some point for some reason. So I'm going to try these ones and see if I can get them to work. Springs are kind of like for hooking onto hooked things, I reckon, but I'm going to try and sort of manipulate it out like that, I think. It might do us, you reckon? Like that. Right, we'll go and try and stick one of those on and see what happens. Alright, so we'll see if we can get this to work in here. Oh, I might be right. Is it going to stay there? It should be okay. It's a little bit, I would have liked a little bit more tension on there, which I could probably arrange. Oop. But it serves two purposes. One is to pull that lever back after releasing the handbrake, which then lets the shoes kind of go in the ways. And it also stops that either kind of coming off, kind of, but the likelihood of that is pretty unlikely, I think. Yeah, so we might it'd be a bit rattly, it'd be probably one of those rattles that I'd chase for years and then never quite find, so I might shorten that up. Alright, so shorten that up, which is going to be the best way to do this, that way. Come on, get in there, you bastard. Okay, maybe try it the other way. That way. Yeah. Like that. Yeah, that's better. It's not rattling. Just like that. That'll work. Okay, half time, change sides. Whoop. Okay, let's have to get serious now. Yeah, just like that. So that's not all rattly. That'll do us, I reckon. Alright, we've got to put one of these on there. I think that's how I had them. I can't really remember. Easy to turn around if I've got it wrong though. And into the rib set that I installed. Back when I set this up originally. And it's got to go over there. I'll tighten it up. You can always turn them around if need be when we put the body back on and hook up the handbrake finally. Alright, just going to do the other side over there and back in a minute. Alrighty, so that's those cables in as far as they're going to go for now, and I just zip tied the ends up onto that drive shaft loop just to get them out of the way so they're not going to be dragging around for however many months it takes to get this any further. Now I'm going to swap out all these bits of hardware, so I'll just kind of move it here and get that done. Alright guys, right, so all the big
16mm bolts and hardware, and that's all been replaced on all the 4-link stuff, the shock mounts, the lower shock mounts in there, and the upper shock mounts up the front. So that's them pretty much all done, unless I change these 4-link bars. Hopefully won't be. Looking into it. And what else was I going to say? Oh, like it all, I pretty much left them as the size they were, other than these 2 top ones. I had to trim them back a bit, so they're real close. But for our low volume certification ruling here in New Zealand, we have to have a minimum of 2 or 3 threads past the end of the nut. So I'm using nylox rather than spring washers. So I've just trimmed them back. So we've got about 5 past the end of the nut, so they should be well within spec. The others I just left at their 80 or 90 millimeters, whatever they were. I trimmed up the front ones a little bit too, because they were kind of large, hanging over a bit more than I would have liked. So yeah, but I've still got a fair chunk hanging out on those ones. I could probably trim those back even more. But the main reason I swapped them out is one, they were too short, and 2, they were like this, like a little wee short shank inside there. So that was the perfect fit for the tabs and the bracketry and stuff. And then the other end of the bracketry was right in the thread. So the bolts I've got are right, the shank is kind of like right at the end of it as well. So yeah, this is the hardware that came with that 4-link. Pretty shit really. It's, you know, good quality hardware, it's just the wrong sizes. It's like I thought about contacting Summit and letting them know that that's what they're selling, but I don't know, is that the right thing to do or what? Because they are, in my opinion, kind of dangerous the way they are, sort of thing. Not that I'm an engineer, but you know, the whole reason you have nylox is to stop the nut coming undone. And if they don't, these things, like they came to about there, that was them fully tight, so they weren't even engaging the nylon in the nylock nut, unless you put them on back to front or something, and then that's just duff. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And the humidity has just gone through the roof here right now, so sweating like a sweaty thing. Not sure what to do next.
Warning, the following is just a poorly thought out theory for a bit of fun. You probably shouldn't take what I'm saying too seriously, probably.
Okay, since I haven't really got much done in this particular video, I'm going to do some like theorizing and hypothesizing and that while I've got your attention. So the other day, right, I was parked in I got a Jeep Cherokee, a Hemi Cherokee, right? So it's 5.7 litre V8. I was parked in the car park, and when I was walking back to my Jeep, I noticed there was like a little Prius parked on one side of me, which is not an uncommon sight these days, let's be honest. And then as I hopped in the Jeep, I realised there was like one of those Tesla like Model Bs or something like that was parked on the other side of me, and I was thinking, holy crikey, like EVs and hybrids are just kind of like everywhere now, and it's kind of, well, they're getting that way. And I just kind of thought the irony, they were parked on either side of me, and like not the most economical of engine combinations and stuff in the old Cherokee, but I like it. It's for sale if anyone wants it. But I just thought that was the irony. I was kind of thinking, oh well, there's lots, and I saw something on the news. They were talking about 20% of all new cars sold in New Zealand in the last 12 months have been EVs. It's like, really? Bloody crikey. And I kind of was a little bit shocked at that number, but then I thought, oh, it actually makes sense. Now's the time. If you're going to own an EV, own it now, before the government and the power companies all cotton onto it. Because at the moment here in New Zealand, we pay like massive amounts of levies on every litre of fuel we buy, like petrol, diesel pay, road user charges and stuff like that. And that's supposedly for the upkeep of our roads here in New Zealand, but they're dismal failings at the moment with all the potholes and shit roads in New Zealand. But that's another story. That's what that tax revenue is supposed to do, whereas EVs, They don't pay any of that. They pay an annual road registration to be able to, their registration thing, to have number plates and be able to drive on the road, but they pay no ongoing taxes in regard to upkeep of the roads. And also, electricity is just still at its kind of normal demand when you're charging these things up at home or whatever. That's just kind of like normal electrical use and stuff like that. But there will come a time where if we've got like 50-60% of our vehicles on the road are EVs or some kind of chargeable hybrid of some sort, the power companies are going to go, yeah, you're screwed without us. We can charge you whatever we want, and even charging stations and shit like that. It'll get price competitive. It'll be like a Meridian Energy charging station versus a Genesis Energy charging station, just like petrol stations are now. BP, Gold, whoever, Shell, the different ones, But then they will have cornered the market, so they'll do what they do here. One will put their price up, next one puts their price up. The first one puts theirs up a little more, other one puts theirs up a little more, just because they can. They've got us over a barrel, and it's a bit monopolised. Even though there's competitors, they are, I reckon, a price fixing, to be fair. Josh Bird, lots of birds. So until they figure that out, they probably have figured it all out, and they're just waiting, biding their time, get enough people where they are screwed without them, and then that's when we'll see electricity prices soar. And if you understand the first rule of business, it's supply and demand. That's what they say. First rule of business is supply and demand. That's what, so I saw it on Wolf of Wall Street or something. And so as increase for supply, or increased demand for electrical supply increases, you know what they're going to do. They're going to put the price of electricity up, right? So because they know you're going to be screwed without it. You've got to pay for your power in the winter and summer and all that kind of stuff. And plus you've got the old Tesla fleet charging on the driveway or in the garage or whatever. But keeping that in mind, the demand for petrol and diesel will drop with all these EVs and hybrids and stuff on the market. So therefore, in theory, the price of petrol and diesel should come down. So my petrol-headed brothers and sisters out there, just hold on. Just hold on. Soon it's going to be cheaper to drive one of these around than it is driving a Tesla Model F or whatever that's going to be cool. Because they're just going to get you on the whole charging thing, whereas petrol and that won't be so much demand for it, so it'll come down. That's my theory anyway. We've yet to see if it'll come into fruition. Probably not, but it would be nice to think that the old first rule of business would come into play and demand would drop for petrol and petrol like products like diesel, stuff like that. Not that I have a diesel, and the demand will drop for it, and therefore the pricing will drop for it. Here in New Zealand, when we had our first big COVID lockdown, it was, I was off work for 7 weeks. Like, I couldn't go to work for 7 weeks. Close contact business, the price of petrol went down to the lowest we've seen it for years and years, sort of thing. It went down quite significantly, and it was just said demand was down, price went down. Still cost them the same amount to refine it, but people just didn't want it because they couldn't use it. But that's my theory anyway. That's the old. I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought now is the best time to own an EV, but in another few years it's going to be the best time to be back in the petrol. Yeah, trust me. No, don't trust me. I don't really. It's just an idea I had while I was daydreaming. But okay, so now that you've heard my explanation on why I think it's the best time to own an EV, is because like the government hasn't cottoned onto it, haven't started charging people road user charges here in New Zealand yet for them, but they will. It'll come, trust me. They'll want their piece of the pie. It always happens. Then you watch them whinging, then they'll be like cyclists. They'll be moaning, they want their own special lanes, and they'll say, but it doesn't create pollution, so why should they have to pay for the roads and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know, like that's my theory on, I think that petrol may get cheaper as demand decreases. I kind of doubt it, but it would be nice to think it could happen, you know, like at the moment our petrol prices aren't too bad here in New Zealand. They were right up there, and then the government sort of stepped in, took some of their tax revenue off it, and I think the fuel companies kind of felt a bit guilty, so they dropped them down even more. They blamed it all on the war in Ukraine, which is still going, and petrol prices came down again. But anyway, I think fuel prices are probably going to go up again soon. They're going to put their tax revenue thing back up to what it used to be prior to the massive price hike last year, and that's going to sort of pump up fuel prices in the next 6 months or so here in New Zealand. But then you just got to keep talking in your little greenie mates into buying EVs and stuff, decrease the demand for fuel, and it'll come down. Do you think it's possible? I'd like to think it's possible. Anyway, carry on. It's like, if you've got an opinion on that, just say something down in the comments. It'd be quite interesting to see if any other people kind of concur, but just keep it quiet. We don't want them companies to know that we're onto them, and we want them to drop the price of petrol so we can drive our stuff and enjoy this hard work, because I'd hate to get this finished and there'd be no petrol, or unaffordable petrol, for me to even use it, and then I'd have to go and start again and wreck a Prius or a Tesla or something and steal the running gear out of that. Yeah. But anyway, okay, so that's where we're at. It doesn't really look any different other than bits of black painted on there and a couple of bits of cable hanging out of it. But that's it for this episode of the Area 51 update on DMAC Customs on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe would be really cool if you did. It's kind of stalled out again at the moment. Tell your friends, shit like that, come and check it out. And yeah, thanks for watching. And what do you think of my theory on fuel prices and EVs, and when to buy and when to sell? I don't know, we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time, take it easy and peace.